Hi everyone, this is Sue Reynolds with the Student Achievement Institute. I'd like to welcome counselors from across the state, and we have a counselor joining us from Georgia today as well. Today's webinar is on looking at root causes with your council members, and if you're participating in redesigning school counseling or guiding all kids, this video is for you. So, okay. So a couple of updates. One is for those of you who are submitting work to us and having us do monthly reviews of your work when you turn it into us, we've created a new status called just question. So instead of the status statements that we have been using are meets criteria or meets criteria C comments or needs revision. And sometimes we just had a question, and instead of using needs revision, we thought we'd just use the status called question. And if you click on that, the question will appear that we have for you. So it may be a question that asks you, have you considered this, or is this what you really intend to do, or have you thought about, and then if so, you'll just resubmit your work. Or if that's something that you haven't thought about, you might want to do a revision and then submit your work. So, okay, so we just felt a need to use a new status. Then the other thing that we just wanted to give you a heads up on is there is a report that will eventually come out of the survey that you all have given called the Student Perceptions of Their School Counselor Survey Report. And right now, the link to that report is not live. And the reason is that we want to make sure that it's okay with the counselors before we release that data to your council. So we're in the process right now of working with our programmer to create a means for you to give us permission to release that survey data, not to the public, but just to your council. So it's probably going to look like a step in our process where you will confirm to us that you have in writing permission from each of your counselors for us to release that data. So you'll collect those signatures for us, and then you'll let us know that you have them. So yeah, so and that way you have especially if there's just one counselor in the building and this data is really reflecting that one person, we really wanted to protect your privacy. So so that's coming, and that's why that data is not live right now. I would expect that from us maybe in the next week. So okay. Then a little bit of review. You might remember that last time we chatted, we started talking about your goals as tennis balls. And we said that all of your goals, all of the student choices that you want students in your school to make, or all of your goals, we're thinking of them as just, all these tennis balls in a great big basket. And we said that in a typical high school, there may be 85 choices that successful students tend to make between grades 9 and 12. In a middle school, that number I think we said was like 55-ish choices that we've identified that successful students tend to make. And then for an elementary school, that number was smaller. But even though we're not addressing all of those choices right now, we want to make sure that they get listed in our program as goals. You can kind of think of that as like a goals parking lot. We're going to work on some of the goals now, but a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we may get some other goals out of that basket or out of the parking lot and start working on them as well. So we want to make sure that your goals list all of the student choices that you want kids to make. Okay, so then we said that from that goals list, we'll create a subset called priority goals. So anything that's important enough, any choice that's important enough that you want to help students right now begin to increase the percentage of students that are making that choice, we're going to move those goals out of the big basket and put them into some kind of delivery method. So in redesigning school counseling, we're taking the balls out and we're putting them into the counselor delivery method, with a few balls going into the community-based guidance delivery method. But in Guiding All Kids, we're looking at all 5 delivery methods: teacher advisor programs, parent advisor programs, and academic integration, as well as the community-based guidance and the school counseling-based counseling and guidance. So think of this as these are all the goals, all the choices that we want students to make. And right now, at your last meeting, you kind of teased out, okay, which of these are we going to work on next year? And I think a lot of you found that a good number of those balls came out of the basket because you're already doing some really good programming with your students. So we probably don't have all the balls out of the basket, or we may have balls out, student choices that we're kind of helping students make, but not, not in a significant way. We're just kind of touching the surface on it. So, so as we go through more of designing the process, we'll talk about, getting more of the balls out of the basket and then really beefing up our programs so that we're addressing those student choices well and really helping all kids make those choices. Okay, so that was kind of a review of the tennis balls. If we go forward then, here's what we're going to do. Let me back up. So we have all of these student choices that are in the counselor's plate, a few that are in the community organization's plates. But now we want to say, of these balls that are out, which ones are we really going to nail next year? Which ones are we just going to hammer so that all kids are making those choices? So our guess is that there's too many balls that you're already working on to hammer on all of them all at once. So we're going to do one more subset, and we're going to say, okay, of all the things that you're doing right now, which are the maybe 1 thing, 2 things, probably not more than 5, that you're really going to hammer next year? So we're calling those focus priority goals. They are priority goals because we're working on them, but these are the ones, the very small number, that we're really, really going to hit hard. And again, we're happy if you have one of these focus priority goals, something that you're going to really nail with every single student. So let's look at an example. Let's say you're in elementary school, and one of your choices is that you want all students to choose to create a personal education plan. Or maybe you're a high school and you're wanting all students to create a 4-year high school course plan. So if none of the students in your school are doing that right now, and you're going to put together something where every single student in your building does that, that's huge. In that kind of a situation, you probably will only have time to really hammer one of those tennis balls. So going back, we have all of these choices that you're helping kids make as counselors. But now we're going to look at 1, maybe 2, probably not more than 5 that we're really, really going to nail next year. And those we call our focus priority goals. They are priority goals, but the ones that we're really going to focus on. Okay, so when we meet with your council again, I'm really looking forward now, so 2 months from now, we're going to say to your council members, now that we know what these priority goals are, what activities can we put in place to really hammer these choices, these small number of choices that we want every student in the building to make? But the problem is, how do we select our activities? Do we select them just based on our observations and our experiences as counselors? Do we select them based on a hunch? How do we select the activities that we're going to do? So to help us with activity selection 2 meetings from now, this month we're going to do a root cause analysis, and that will help us figure out where we need to spend our time and energy, what activities are going to have the biggest bang for the buck. So these root causes are going to help us determine why kids aren't making the choices that we want them to make. And then 2 months from now, we'll start looking at, okay, now we can design the activities because we know what's getting in the way. now we can address those activities. So before doing a root cause analysis, if you don't do a root cause analysis, you're basing your activities just on a hunch of what would help kids make those choices. This way we're putting data to it. We're really going to do a big analysis, and we're really going to figure out what it is that's getting in the way of kids making these choices. Okay, and then another question we're going to have down the road is, how do we know if those activities are making a difference? So this month, one other thing we're going to do is that for each of your focus priority goals, we're going to set a data target. And then later, a year from now, we'll evaluate those focus priority goals, and we'll hold ourselves self-accountable for helping kids make those choices. Okay, so let's look at that another way. Same information, just a different schematic. So when we started, we came up with goals. We said these are all the choices that we want students to make. And then we said some of these choices are so important that we want to work on them right now. And those became our priority goals. So they're a subset of all of our goals. Now we're going to say, okay, of all these priority goals, which ones do we really want to hammer next year? It's going to be a very small number. So how are we going to hammer them? First thing we're going to do is, for each of our focus priority goals, we're going to do a root cause analysis to explain why kids aren't making that choice. Then we're going to set data targets that help us understand if our activities are working. This is the percentage of students who will be making that choice a year from now. And then a year from now, we're going to pull together more data, and we'll hold ourselves accountable. We'll say, yeah, we met that goal, or no, we didn't meet that goal. We might decide that our goal was too lofty or our goal was too easy, but we'll do some tweaking at that point. We may also decide that our activities didn't have the bang for the buck that we thought they were going to have. We'll know that when we do our evaluation and we see if the percentage of students making that choice changes. So, okay, so that's how the different types of goals, the different subsets of goals relate to each other. Now, another way to look at this is when we get to activities a couple months from now, we're going to really look at, for these focus priority goals, we're going to be spending major energy next year to drive these. That's why we don't want there to be too many, because we're really going to nail these. And then for the priority goals that we're working on, but in a more minor way, we'll put in minor energy. And then we've got this parking lot out here of goals that we haven't addressed yet. And so they're taking no energy right now. But little by little, we're going to help students make these focus priority goals choices. And then we can move, priority goals into the focus list, and we can get some more goals out of the parking lot and make them become priority goals. So again, that's kind of a summary. So I'm going to just pause here for a second. Let me look and see if I have any hands up, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, we can do that. Or type a question in. I'm not seeing any questions. So far, so good. Okay. Okay, so let's go on. Okay, so to get ready for this discussion about root causes and your focus priority goals, we will do a pre-meeting task, and it's actually really easy on your part. So our suggested activity is that you send your council members a pre-meeting email, and it's actually generated from the online system. All you have to do is push a button, and this email will automatically go out to all of your council members, and the email is customized to include your school's priority goals. So you push the button, this email goes out to all of your council members, and then you ask them to do, the email asks them to do an at-home root cause data analysis. So basically, here's how that works. This is what the email looks like. It basically says, what you're doing at the next meeting, and then it says, as a reminder, our priority goals are to increase the percentage of students who, and then your priority goals that you typed into our system will appear here in your email. And then our students may not be making these choices because they lack knowledge. They have a personal social issue that's interfering with their ability to make the choice, or they may not have the opportunity to participate in a guidance and counseling activity that they need in order to make that choice. So pretty much students, I guess I want to summarize and emphasize those three areas. When students aren't making good choices, it's typically because they lack knowledge, they lack an opportunity, or they have a social emotional issue that's interfering with their ability to make sound choices in general. So then at the bottom part of this section of the email, it says to save time in our next meeting, please complete the steps listed below. Okay, so when I get to the instructions, it says open up each of the root cause data reports below. And if I just flip to, oops, you'll see those in a second. So they open up each of the reports. As you reread the report, ask yourself what could be keeping our students from making the choices we identified as our priority goals. And when you find an answer, please write the following on a sticky note, which is why we asked you to give everybody a little packet of sticky notes at your last meeting. So on these sticky notes, they're going to write the priority goal that's impacted by the data. They can just write the number of the priority goals. So number 7, the report title, guidance, the possible root cause, it might be, only 30% of the students know what a personal educational plan is, or only, 20% of the 4th graders know what a personal educational plan is. And then you would write each of your council members will write their initials. So when they fill out their sticky notes, they'll look something like this. So, priority goals to increase the percentage who enroll in AP. Report they got some data from that might be a potential root cause is guidance. Root cause is 50% don't know if the school offers college level courses. Here's the same thing, increased percentage of students who enroll in AP. The report is student assistance report. The data is 50% report that stress is interfering with learning. I'm just thinking, we reviewed a bunch of data recently, and what we're really finding here in this area too is that student fear of failure is interfering with their enrollment in high ability classes. So it might be that you find. This is an opportunity, and that our root cause is students don't have the opportunity to take an AP course. Maybe we have, according to the PSAT, we have 60 students who are good candidates for AP classes, but we only offer one section, so only half of those students can enroll. So so as people dig through the data, they would write possible root causes, reasons for why kids aren't making that choice on sticky notes. And then the step 3 is bring all the sticky notes to the next meeting. Okay, so at the bottom of the report, this is the the bottom of the email. Here are all the reports that they can access. So the guidance needs report, the student assistance needs report, and the student opportunities report. When you set up the email, you can keep any of those reports off of the email if you want to. You can tell the system to exclude the student assistance needs reports if you don't want your council to see that information. I don't think we've ever had anybody exclude a set of data, but you can if you want to. And then also, we've given the council members access to the student group reports. So these are all the drill down reports to help you discover if you have guidance gaps. So they can drill down and look at gender desegregation, or race, ethnicity, or free and reduced lunch students. You can drill down by report card grades, self-reported report card grades. So we just wanted to give everybody access to all data. The steering team, after this meeting, we're going to ask you to go in and actually look through the drill down reports, but we also wanted to give your council members an opportunity to do that if they wanted to. Okay, so that's the pre-meeting mailing. And then the meeting tasks. So in your meeting, you're going to have 3 tasks. The first one is to create a possible root causes parking lot. That's going to go really fast. The second one is to identify your focus priority goals. So narrow down the priority goals to the focus priority goals. This activity is also going to go very fast. And then the majority of your meeting will be identifying the root causes for each of the focus priority goals that you came up with. So, and again, the reason we're drilling down one more time to create these focus priority goals is because we don't believe that you'll have enough time to do a root cause analysis for all of your priority goals. So we're going to narrow them down to 1 to 5 so that you can save some time. Okay, so that's the tasks for the meeting. And then here's the possible root cause parking lot. So from our system, you'll be able to print out and then make into a poster a document that looks like this. So these are the priority goals. And I see our programmer has typed in a goal just called David's goal. When you type this in, when you print this report, these will be your priority goals. So your school's priority goals. So you'll print this report, your school's priority goals will appear in the left-hand column, and then all of those sticky notes that people brought, they're just going to stick those sticky notes, you know, whatever the number they say at the top, they're going to stick them across from that priority goal. And so that will give you a collection of possible root causes for every single one of your priority goals. And this is a parking lot. You know, we may not be addressing one of your priority goals right now, but when we do, you'll have this parking lot of possible root causes from your council members. So, okay, and then just a note, we would suggest that after you do this, which, you know, this will take maybe 5 minutes. Everybody just goes and sticks their notes up on these posters. But after you do this, we suggest that you take a photo of, you know, just pull out your phone or camera and take a photo of each of these posters so that you can have that information in case the little sticky notes fall off later. Okay, so, and we'll keep this for years because we'll be pulling from this next fall too when we are working to update your programs again. Okay, so that's very quick. They just get those sticky notes that they wrote at home, they bring them, they put them on the poster. Okay, then we're going to ask them to identify their focus priority goals. So we're defining them. Focus priority goals are the priority goals that you want to significantly impact in the coming year. And then we're kind of giving them a heads up for each of the priority goals. We're going to be conducting a force field analysis. We're going to establish data targets, and we're going to implement targeted activities. So, you know, that's a lot of work. We cannot have a lot of focus priority goals. So the key question is, which priority goals do we wish to significantly impact next year? Because they have a big potential for moving us towards our vision, and because not too few students are making that choice right now. And then the suggested activity we have for you is an Instagraph. So when you print this out, it'll have, again, it will have your priority goals in the list, and then you, just a reminder, when you do an Instagraph, everybody votes for 1/3 of the choices. So if you have 15 priority goals, everybody would vote for their top 5, and they'd go up and put their dots on the Instagraph, and then just like in past months, that bar graph will start to appear across the page. So, and again, we recommend, you know, 1 to 5 priority goal or focus priority goals. If you have related priority goals, you might be able to have more than 5, but normally schools will have 1 to 3. Occasionally we've had 10, but really in 1 is just fine. I would rather have you do 1 and get it to every single student in the building than to do 5 in a mediocre way. So, okay. So that's how you're going to narrow down your goals into your focus priority goals. And now we have the small list. So, and we're just, again, I forgot this slide was in here, but this is just kind of the reminder slide to say what I just said. Caution, don't pick too many focus priority goals. Okay, so now we've got this small list of focus priority goals, and we're going to just discuss each focus priority goal, and we're just going to say what's getting in the way of students making this choice. We've got the ideas that are already on the root cause parking lot. And so we can pull from there. Some of this will just be discussion based on their observations. There may be other data that you're going to bring to the table. But yeah, so when we get through the walk through the meeting, I'll show you kind of how we're envisioning this discussion would happen. So, okay, and then that's it. So 3 tasks for your council meeting. And the last one is to come up with the root causes for each of your focus priority goals. So the 1 goal, the 2 goals. Yeah. Okay, so now after the meeting. So after the meeting, there's a couple of things that we suggest your steering team does. First of all, we need to go in the online system and check the priority goals that you would like to be focus goals. So that's really easy. You just go in there and you just check the 3 that you want to be your focus goals. Then you're going to enter the root causes for each focus priority goal. That's really easy. Again, there's a prompt that comes up that says we are concerned that, and then you just put in the reason that you think kids are not are not making that choice. Then we'd like to suggest that you have a steering team discussion. And in that discussion with the 6 of you or the 3 of you or however many people are on your steering team, it's different for Guiding All Kids and RSC. But in that discussion, we'd like your steering team members to really dig into those root cause reports. And what you're trying to figure out is, does the root cause that you've identified impact one student group more than others? And let's say your root cause is that you've discovered that students don't know what questions to ask during a campus visit. So when you're taking your middle school kids to do a campus visit and you want to make sure that you think that they need to know what questions to ask. So as you start to look at the data, you may discover that free reduced lunch students know that don't have that knowledge at the same rate as the paid lunch kids, or you may discover that students whose parents haven't been to post-secondary don't know that information. There's just all kinds of discrepancies you'll find in different student groups. Doing a campus visit, if you're depending on parents to take their children on campus visits, free and reduced lunch students often have parents who are working 3 jobs and they just don't have the time to take their children on campus visits. So we really want to look at those drill down reports for those specific root causes that you've come up with to see if those root causes are the same for all student groups, or if there are some student groups who are not making those, who don't have the knowledge or don't have the opportunities at a rate that's different than their peers. Okay, and then the second thing we'd like your steering team to do is to establish a data target for each, this should say focus, for each focus priority goal. So we're not going to, come up with a data target for all of your priority goals, just the focus goals, because those are the ones that we want to hold ourselves accountable for next year and that we want to evaluate at the end of next year. So, and then when all of that is done and you've entered those target data into the online system, then you're going to send the focus priority goals report to your council members and ask them, our consensus questions. Can you live with this and can you support it publicly? So, okay, and I think, yeah, so let's talk just a little bit about that drill down data. So here are the 7 different ways that we disaggregate data in the system. So for all of the student knowledge questions, for all the student opportunity questions, for all the social emotional concerns questions, all of that data can be disaggregated. So we're looking for differences in different student groups. So to get to the drill down reports, we've been working with just the grade level drill down report, but now we can go in and look at the student group drill downs. So here's all of that. And then also notice that we have you also have a create a student group report. So if you're curious about what your African American third grade boys, how they're responding on the survey, you can go in and create that student group and come up with how they answer the survey questions. And just a reminder too, as you're looking at these things, if you want to know who those kids are, you can use the student list generator. That will give you the students' names and email addresses and their mailing addresses, provided that the student has given us permission to release that information to their school. Okay, so yeah, so this is where you get those reports. Remember the student assistance reports, those will be live. They're yellow here because the public cannot access them, only you. And right now the counselor perception questions are gray, so you can't get this information right now, but we hope in the next week or so that we'll have a process in place for you to give us permission to turn this icon from yellow to gray. Okay, so let's look at an example. Let's say that our priority goal was to increase the percentage of students who choose to participate in the school's extra help programs. And our current data was 48%, and our target data, and this could be elementary school, high school, middle school, our target data is to increase that from just under half to 66%. So we've done a root cause analysis, and our councils decided that probably the main reason that students are not choosing to participate in extra help is that they don't know that it exists. They don't know where to find extra help in your school. So your school may be offering tons of extra help, but if the schools don't know where to find it, it's not helpful. So in the drill down, we want to know which students don't know where to find extra help in the school. Is it all students, or are there discrepancies between paid lunch and free and reduced lunch students, or between students who get A's and B's on their report card versus students who get D's and F's on their report card? So we're going to dig into some of the reports. And the first thing, actually, I'm going to go back. When I actually, this was from a real school, and I started digging down because I got curious about it. My first thought was, when I was looking at high school's data, my first thought was it's probably the 9th graders, because they just got to the school and they just don't know the school very well yet. So the first drill down I looked at was a grade level drill down report. And I can see, do you know where to find extra help in your courses if you need it? There's really not much difference between 9th grade and 12th grade. So that, maybe wasn't it. So I started thinking, well, what other drill down, should I look at? So I thought maybe it's the low-income students, the students free and reduced lunch. So I started looking at that, but I'm not finding a difference there much either. I mean, there is an 8-point difference, so there is some difference, and personally, this would bother me a little bit that I have an 8-point difference. With that difference, I'd probably start doing some outreach to my free and reduced lunch kids. But when I looked at the typical report card grades, there I found a major discrepancy. If I look at kids who get A's and B's on their report card versus D's and F's, look at the difference. Okay, and then remember, I can ask my computer, I can ask the computer to give me the names of the 15 kids who get D's and F's, who report that that they don't know where to find extra help, or that they aren't sure. And I actually could, send an email to those students, reminding them or letting them know that we have extra help and how to access it. Or just maybe next time I see them in the hall, I'd say that to them. So, okay, so that's how the drill down works. Now, in terms of your data targets, so remember the data targets are something just that the steering team is doing, and then you're going to have the council approve them. So we suggest that your steering team has a discussion for each of the focus priority goals, so the 1, 2, 3, up to 5 goals. And then each target should, first of all, reflect a student choice, because remember, all of your priority goals are about not student knowledge, but student choices. So each data target will reflect a student choice, and each target would be somehow measurable by student records or by survey. A lot of the social emotional choices that students make, or the attitude choices that they have, you know, those things we can assess by just surveying the kids and asking them what they're, you know, about their dispositions. And then we can observe, and then there's other means as well, but somehow that student choice needs to be measurable. And then also we want the target to be challenging but reachable if you work your tail off. So when you reach that goal at the end of next year, we want you to feel really good about that. And if you make your target too small, it won't feel like you've accomplished anything. On the other hand, if you make your target too big, it'll be discouraging because it'll be impossible to reach. So we want your targets to be, you know, just right. They're challenging, but they're not too hard. When you get to the system, you'll just add a target. The system will pop up target, a row that looks like this. You'll put in the percentage of students that you want to make that choice, when your target is for, so probably would be like May of next school year, so May of 2019. And then for your actual data, if you don't have actual data in yet, you probably put that in the priority goals step. But if for some reason you don't have actual data, we need to get some baseline data in there for your priority goals, for your focus priority goals. So you could click actual, and that will bring up your baseline data, and whatever you counted, you can put the information in, and then when would be, you know, March of 2017 or I'm sorry, 18 or whatever. So if you decided to use survey data, that data will auto-populate in here. But if you decided to count something other than survey data, you'll need to type that in. So, okay, I think we have that. And to close with, real quickly, your rubric items for focus priority goals. A manageable number of focus priority goals has been selected. We would say 1 to 5. If you said 20, we would probably use the status question, and you know, in our comment, we would say, "Are you sure you can do 20? Have you thought about this?" But if the choice is always yours. So if you come back and say, "Yes, we've thought about it, and we think this is manageable," then go for it. 1 or more data targets have been identified for each focus priority goal. Each data target is clearly written. Each data target represents a student choice. And each data target is challenging but realistic. And that's another place where we might come back with a question to, you know, to ask you, you know, have you thought about this? Is this going to be too challenging for you, or is this going to be challenging enough? So yeah. So that's focus priority goals. And then the only other submission that you have this month is your root causes. So one or more root cause exists for each focus priority goal. The type of root cause is indicated for each root cause. So this is a student guidance. In other words, you've checked off when you entered the root cause that this is a lack of knowledge issue, or it's a counseling issue, or it's a student opportunity issue. And then we've given you an other. I don't think a school's ever used other, but just in case something doesn't fall into those 3 types of root causes, you can click that other. Okay, so very quickly, I want to walk through the council meeting, and I'll look again to see if we have any questions. Not seeing any questions, but type them in. That would be good. Okay, so here's council meeting 5. I'm going to fly through this because we've talked about almost all this from the current slide. Okay. So these are the slides that you have an option of using if you'd like to with your council for your council meeting. Again, you can design your own meeting if you know, people have different presentation styles. So if our slides don't work for you, feel free to change or edit or not use them at all. As long as those 3 tasks get done, how you do this is up to you. Okay, so we're telling folks in your council meeting that here's our agenda. We're going to do a quick introduction of root causes, and then we'll just talk briefly through the 3 tasks for today. What is a root cause? There's a definition. And then root causes help us to focus our activities properly to help students make the targeted choice we want them to make. So that's why we do them. And then a review. So there's our impact pyramid that we always like to come back to remind people why we're focusing on student choices. In this slide, we're just looking at all of the steps that we've already done. This is our last step before we get to activities, and then when we get to activities next month, we are really going to target some good activities because of all the foundational work we've done before getting to activities. So there's a couple of the tennis ball slides, and then today we're talking about coming up with the focus priority goals and the root cause analysis and the data targets. There's the goal summary. The meeting tasks, we're just kind of reviewing again. Now we're going to do these 3 things. So first thing is the possible root cause parking lot. We're just inviting people to come up and put their little sticky notes on the poster that came out of the system. Then the focus priority goals. We're just asking, on this one we're defining what a focus priority goal is, and then we're asking them to come up to that Instagraph and to select a third of the priority goals that they think should be focus priority goals. In root causes then, let me back up. So this will need to be discussion too. So this will of course end up being a bell chart, a bell graph. And then you'll need to talk with folks about saying, okay, this is the priority goal that had the most votes, so we should probably do this one. But do we have time to do another focus priority goal, or is one going to be it for us? So, and then just, keep looking at, do we have time for one more? Do we have time for one more? If it starts to feel overwhelming to you as a counselor, you need to say, well, I can't handle more. I would be beyond capacity, and I'd be doing things in a mediocre way if we select more than one. Okay. Then we'll do the root causes. So we're reminding people, the question is, why aren't more students making this choice? Do they lack knowledge, opportunity, or have social emotional concerns? And then we'll look at our first priority goal. And then we'll circle back to this slide if you have 2 focus priority goals. And we'll circle back again if you have 3 focus priority goals. So for the first focus priority goal, we're asking people to just kind of brainstorm the possible root causes that they've come up with. And we're asking people, as we brainstorm, let's write the possible root causes down on this chart. So everybody has one of these pieces of paper, 8.5 by 11, in front of them. And as the choices are being written down, you are also adding them to an Instagraph. So I'll show you that in a second. So we're just kind of going through, what knowledge do students need in order to make this choice? If you remember, on priority goals, we asked you to enter the knowledge that you felt students needed to make, and so you could share that with people. You could say, our steering team kind of looked at this and we think that kids need to know X, Y, and Z. And then the question is, do they have that knowledge? And how do we know if they have that knowledge, or do we not know? So then on the next slide, we're looking at opportunities. Do all students have the opportunity to make this choice? How do we know? And then social and emotional concerns. Do students have a social and emotional concerns that are interfering with their ability to make sound choices in general? How do we know? So again, we're hoping that people won't just speak from their gut or a hunch, but they're going to come up with data in the root cause reports that will help back up their opinions. And then finally, we're saying, everybody just parked root causes on the parking lot here. So now let's look at our focus priority goals that are on this parking lot and see what you came up with from your the data review that you did at home. So we're looking at that. Okay, so now, as everybody has written down possible root causes, now the next step is we're going to, and one thing I forgot to say, people would have a piece of this a copy of this document for every one of your focus priority goals. So if you anticipate having maybe 5 focus priority goals, you would need to give people 5 copies of this. So the first focus priority goal they would write up here, and then they would write down all the brainstorming that people came up with. Okay, so then we're going to ask them to check off a third of these that they think you should most work on in the coming year. So which third of these do they feel should be your focus goals? And then after they've done that, they just come up to the Instagraph and they put their dots on and build that chart. So if this is how it ended up, you know, I would say to people, okay, the root cause that we want to work on for this priority goal is that students don't know if the school offers AP courses. So we'll work on this one. Do we have time to work on another one? Students don't know the requirements for the honors diploma. So again, these are, you know, major root causes that we're working on. Okay, and then after today, we're just letting the steering team know that you're going to, letting the council know that the steering team is going to review the force field drill downs and that you're going to establish data targets. And then the last slide is to give them a homework assignment. So you're saying to them, okay, at this point, you as a community member or as a teacher or as a parent, you understand what our focus priority goals are, and you understand what the root causes are that's getting in the way of kids making those. What activities could your place of employment do, or a community organization of which you're a member do, to help our students make those choices? So hopefully the light bulb is going off that it could be community organizations in addition to school counselors, or it could be teachers in addition to school counselors that are implementing programs or activities to help kids make these choices. So yeah, we hope that light bulb goes off here. If you're a Guiding All Kids school, that will formally happen next year when we recruit your community organizations and create partners, and then they as a partner, they will actively become engaged in delivering the school counseling program. If you're an RSC school, that part isn't as formal, but we do hope that that happens in an RSC school as well, that some of your council members will start to say, hey, I could do that. You know, our Kiwanis Club could take kids on a campus visit, or, you know, our Kiwanis Club could come into your elementary school and do tutoring, or, you know, whatever the kids' opportunities the kids don't have that they need. So, okay, that's it. So the only thing I haven't shown you is the online system, and we can go to that. In the online system, if you scroll down to root causes, this is the webinar that we're recording right now, will be available here. You're going to select your focus priority goals. Really easy. You just click on that, and all of your, I'm in as a school that hasn't entered everything yet, but all of your priority goals will be here, and you'll just click the ones that you want to be focus goals. And then you want to update your council's email addresses, because when you click the automated mailing to council members, when you click the send button, it's going to go out to whatever email addresses you have into the system. So please do check that and make sure that all of the email addresses are correct. Then you'll go into the automated mailing to the council. In that, you'll tell the computer which set of questions you want to include in the email, and we strongly suggest that you include all 3 sets. Person making this change, so whoever's, you know, deciding that this is going to be changed, their name would appear there, save. And then down at the bottom here, you're just letting us, you know, you're just verifying that you understand that all council members with a valid email address in the council roster will receive this email. If you click that, it shows you what the email is going to look like, and it will be specific for your school with your priority goals in it. And then I understand the email I'm sending will enable all council members to view group data and no individual student data for the reports that are checked above. And then the person sending the email just clicks on the email, and as soon as you hit that, poof, it'll go out to all of your council members. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Let's see, where am I? Okay, this is, again, we're still working on counselor time use data, so that's where you would update that. Conduct your meeting. This will take you to the steering team manual. Enter your root causes. That is pretty easy. So there's two different places. If it's a general root cause that's going to affect all of your focus priority goals, like students don't understand the value of education, or students, oh, I'm blanking. Students don't feel respected at school. So if that's going to impact all of your priority goals, then you would click Add a General Root Cause for all priority goals. If it's a specific priority goal, like the priority goal is take a written or online career interest inventory, and we're going to say, this is an opportunity issue. We don't provide students with a career interest inventory. Then I'm going to add a root cause, and the root cause is that we do not provide students with an opportunity. You click that this is an opportunity because kids are lacking opportunity, and then just save. So very easy to get that information into the system. And then on the focus priority goals data targets, if I click on that, you can see that here is, and again, this school doesn't have all of its data in yet, but we click on this and then we hit target. That's going to bring up a row of blanks for me, and I can say that my target is that I want 50% of the students to do that by May of 2019, and then just hit save. You can also select data sources here. You can toggle this back and forth between using survey data, using other data, or you can tell us that you want to use both survey data and other data, and then you'll get two rows there where you can enter two different types of data in. So okay. When you're entering data from other sources, if you are, you would enter that up here in this tab. So, okay, I do want to leave this page. And that's it. Meeting from a photo from Instagram just to help our staff have a visual and to help schools learn from other schools, and then entering your minutes and then the rubric items up here there. Okay, that's it. I think that's everything you need to know to conduct the root cause meeting with your council. And again, let's see what questions you have. So I'm not seeing any hands up, and I'm looking for questions that have been typed in. And I'm still looking. I'm going to give you a few minutes here to think about or to type the questions in that you have. And after a minute or so, if we don't see any questions, we will close. But I do want to answer questions. So this meeting is the last one we do before we get to activities. So when we hit those activities, we will have focus priority goals that you have very carefully selected through several different data analysis, through 3 different levels of discussions, and your focus priority goals are going to be the ones that really have the biggest bang for the buck. The other thing that you've done by the end of this meeting is that you have a parking lot of other goals that in future years you'll be able to draw from. And then you also have a list of priority goals that you're addressing, just not in a major way. So, you know, you have three different levels of implementation: goals that you're doing nothing with, goals that you're touching on, and then the goals that you're really hammering hard. So, yeah, so let me look one more time for questions. Oh,
Do you have a question?
Oh, hi Debbie, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Usually Debbie and I chat before the webinar starts, so we didn't have a chance to today. So hi. Okay, so
Hi.
what's the question?
Yes, Rochelle asks, we noticed that weekly log beta phase ends on March 9th. Our school is looking to keep recording. Is there any way that that can continue?
Oh, that's a good question. So the beta phase is, what that means is that was a phase where we wanted to work out all the bugs in the system. The online time use log and compiling all the data for the whole department, all the counselors in the department, the programming on that was quite challenging. And so we launched it as a beta phase to begin with, so that some schools would start using it and we could work out all the bugs before we just launch it. So when the beta phase ends, and actually we think we've worked out all the bugs right now, but when the beta phase ends, it'll remain, and hopefully all the bugs will be gone. So, but again, we think we've found all the bugs, so it should be just working fine right now. So, but to answer your question, yes, it will stay up there. And we do suggest that you continue to log your time. One is it really allows you to gain control over your day. That's when I was in the schools, I mean, I logged every day, and that was why, because if I, you know, just like a doctor would log his time or log his, you know, appointments ahead of time, I logged my appointments ahead of time, and I used my log to do that. But the other thing is that, you know, hopefully at your last meeting, we've talked with several schools that had a really robust discussion about counselor time use and how much time you were spending on non-program tasks. And we know that in a lot of your schools, people jumped, you know, kind of came forward and said, I could take this off the counselor's plate, and then, you know, a teacher said I could do this, and an administrator said I could do that. And so we think that, you know, people are taking things off of your plate. Theoretically, your time use then from now going forward should change, and we should see the percentage of non-program time go down. So so that's another reason why we want to do that. And we'll come back a year from now when we're meeting with your council, and we'll share another whole year's worth of time use log data with them. And, you know, we'll see if things have changed. And if they haven't, then we know that, you know, we need to take some more of those non-program things off. So, but yes, the time use log, the beta phase, the testing phase ends soon, and then after that, it will just be up as one of our regular tools for you to use. Very good. Any other questions, Debbie, or anything you want to?
No, that's all I have.
Anything you want to add, or tips that you have for folks as you've been reading your submissions?
No, just keep up the good work, and we're going to continue to send out reminders. And I think that's it.
Good, good. Yeah, we've been really pleased with the degree to which the schools have kept up with the work this year. We know that this is a ton of work as we put together all these foundations. It's also hard this year because you're entering everything into the system for the first time. After this, you'll just be tweaking what you've already put in. So in coming years, as you go to renew your Ask a Ramp award or your Indiana Gold Star award in coming years, this will be a whole lot less time consuming because the data entry won't be as hard. But yeah, so thank you everyone for keeping up with the work. That makes it a whole lot easier on our end as well as on your end, we think. So, okay, that sounds good. So as always, give us a call. remember, don't spend half an hour trying to figure something out. Call us immediately, and Debbie or Janet will be there to help you. Debbie with the RSC schools, and Debbie and Janet with the Guiding Our Kids schools. So, okay, Debbie, anything more for the good of the cause?
I don't think so. Thanks.
Okay, thanks everyone. We'll talk to you next month, and good luck as you have your next meeting with your council.